So in this video, I'm gonna release my theories and basically concepts for how to create. In theory, I believe it could create infinite amounts of energy. And since I have all sorts of inventions and ideas and theories, I decided this is probably something that will take me a while to, before I could even get close to developing it or anything. So I just decided I might as release the concept, and then maybe someone else can just do it, and then maybe give me credit for it if potentially I'm the reason that they come up with an idea. And I'm not too worried about it because I would rather the whole world be able to use the technology than be worried about getting paid off the technology. Because, dude, I already have all sorts of inventions and ideas. So this isn't the only thing. So I mean, I was thinking about it for a while, like, because I mean, I do want to try to get my ideas patented. So anyway, I'm not so worried about getting it patented because there's it's just too much for me to work with right now. So my theory on a way to create a device to create energy like a generator is a gravity generator. So the concept is just like how dams are fueled by the gravity that is occurring, but it is being converted and transferred. So I was sitting here thinking, like, oh man, there's got to be a way to, you know, well, the way I thought of this idea to begin with is I don't necessarily know exactly when it first came into my mind, but I was sitting there thinking about a spiral and how a straight line goes, like, basically if you have something going in a spiral and then all of a sudden if it just goes in a straight line after, the distance that it's traveling between the spiral is further between the when you're looking at the height is further than when if you just go in a straight line. So the concept and the theory behind how to make a gravity generator is, well, to bring the source and energy back to the start by returning from a straight line. So I was thinking, okay, so maybe you can extract all this extra power and energy off of the spiral, and then if it returns in a straight line, it's like, okay, well, it's going to create more than it's actually cost to bring it back. So the whole theory is like, well, if you can basically, if it costs less than it than it costs to actually bring something back up in a straight line, then in theory that is what you're looking for. All you need to do. So that's when I was thinking, okay, well, what do I need to do to harvest the effect of gravity? And there's a few ways you can do it. So a couple of the ways that I was thinking of doing it was, one way, first of all, the whole theory, the concept, we kind of take gravity into our favor. So basically, we use gravity to fuel the source of how we can create energy and power. Okay. So basically, the taller the better. So we're thinking maybe 100 stories to 200. or however many. The taller the better, right? But we're saying for like a optimal and large amount. So that's a height scale. I mean, it's not really the greatest. Sorry. So we're thinking about 200 stories because we're trying to harvest as much energy from the fall, from gravity. So all we need is something to transfer and convert the gravity of the object that's coming down. Okay, and then we also need something to absorb the object that's coming down, and then when the object is coming down through gravity, it is to be converted into energy, because all we need to do is have gravity create more energy to press down the next and power the next spring that is absorbing that weight of gravity that creates that energy. So we potentially have a spiral. Oh my gosh. So we have a spiral. Maybe not going outward like that, but it's just in a, just a cylinder spiraling down. So it's kind of more like this. It's just a circle, but it spirals down like a corkscrew. A lot more uniform and perfectly straight. So the idea is to figure out what is the perfect amount of a slope to where we can generate enough energy to begin to absorb and convert. So once that energy starts building up, so what we're doing is trying to figure out something that's going to absorb that force of the gravity. So that gravity is going to push it down, and it's going to go down the spiral. And then on the spiral are going to be mechanisms and maybe gearboxes that are being turned and fueled by the devices that are rolling down the track and generating the power and force, inertia to spin those gears. And when those gears are being spun, it's actually going to now generate power into the most powerful battery anybody can create. Basically, almost even if you can create a energy factory, a big enough battery where it's storing enough energy for a city, even if you got to create more than one battery. So the idea is to have, let's say, gears, 1 pound gears, 10 pound gears, 100 pound gears, 25 pound gears, 50 pound gears, essentially whatever potentially is it's designed for on the track, because the bigger the better, because a 1 pound weight is going to keep generating all that energy to keep rolling down that track and turning those gears. Bigger gears, potentially, the bigger it is. So the idea is, if we have, let's say, hundreds and thousands of these balls or gears going down this track, and then it's turning and powering these gears that are charging the battery. So now the whole idea is, well, as long as it costs less energy to bring that gear back to the top and do it again, then that's all that matters. So my concept and theory is, well, it should, in theory, easily create way more energy than it's going to cost to bring a 1 pound weight, because we can easily just return everything to the top and the start through just a straight line. And we know that that is most likely going to not be very hard at all. And another idea to enhance the concept is to have solar panels on the bottom of, let's say it looks like a 2-story or 100-story building. So circling the building, we can put a like an angled array of solar panels that amplify. Basically, it could even just be used to add to the pool. So it's an energy pool, and all this energy pool is for is to add to the cost of what it's going to cost to bring those gears to the top. So essentially, you may even be able to bring those gears back to the top of the generator and keep generating all this free energy if these solar panels are generating enough energy itself just to bring them back up. Let alone that the device itself may even be able to charge itself and bring itself back up to begin with, but why not use a hybrid and combination of creating energy through solar and gravity to make it twice as effective, 100 times more effective. So if you have all these solar gears or solar panels on the bottom harvesting the energy that it costs to bring all these thousands of 1 pound gears or 10 pound gears back to the top, and then all it has to do is put these devices back on the track to just keep going back down, and then gravity just keeps fueling it to tick over and fuel the turning of the gear. So there's a lot of different ways we can create a way to absorb whatever's going down that track and is creating that inertia to push those gears through gravity, through a ball, through a gear. And that's just one design there, is through the spiral track, through gears or balls that actually convert its energy and force through the gravity that it's receiving to go down the track to keep churning more and more gears, which potentially that's how it's creating more energy. So that's version 1 and 2 is through a gear. So I'm thinking maybe like a gear, a star gear or something, Sorry, I'm not the greatest artist, right? So something like that, and then it just keeps ticking down the track, and then when these devices are ticking down the track, it's just landing on a gear or any sort of device that actually absorbs the weight of it going down, and then when it's being pressed down, that's what creates the energy that's created off of the gravity that is being converted off of the object and device. So that's version 1. So you can use potentially maybe balls or gears, or the idea is whatever works best. Maybe a magnet, so maybe a magnet can accelerate it and amplify it with gravity. Whatever can be used to make it work best. So the idea is we got our solar gravity, our solar panels that are actually fueling to our energy pool, potentially to bring the devices back to the top. So all we're doing to bring these devices back to the top is going through a straight line. So it costs way less energy to just bring it right back up than to, as all the energy you're getting when it's going down, because you're getting all that extra extraction of gravity through that spiral concept. So potentially it's able to travel, let's say, 10 miles going down a track creating energy, but it only costs 1 mile to go back and start over, which is potentially how it should, in theory, create more than enough energy to just keep building up more and more and more and more. Not to mention, if that's just one gravity tower. You have one gravity tower that's 200 stories tall, and it just keeps generating more and more power, loading it into a battery tank in reservoir. And let's say that it's just creating enough energy to fuel, let's say, 1,000 houses per hour or something. And then you have thousands of these, and then it's being fueled for free, and it's almost creating more energy than we can even hold on to. And we're almost running out of ways to hold on to it and store it because it just keeps creating infinite amounts of energy. So the idea is to have a gravity generator field in a at least pretty sunny location so you can at least utilize the solar panels also, but maybe you won't even really have to. So these devices could potentially work anywhere because gravity, you can use gravity anywhere, and there's infinite amounts of gravity to harvest and to convert. So that's my first concept and theory on the design principle. One of my other design principles is kind of, I think it's a cool idea and I think it would work. So my idea is, this is my other idea. So let's say that this is potentially, it's hard to really understand, but if I walk you through it, it might make more sense. So this is, you're looking from a top-down view. So let me see if I can kind of draw a side view. If you could kind of draw a side view, it would look kind of like this. So with this theory and concept, I think this could be one of the more better ways to do it. We're looking at so again, we're going to be using gravity to convert that gravity. So the idea is we have water. So the concept is, this is basically a water spiral, and here where you see this big black dot in the middle where I drew right there, that's the top of where the water is pumped up. So the water is always going to be pumped up in a straight line from the very center. So that's where the water is going to start and start falling out at. So once the water is pumped up to the top there, it just goes down this spiral track. So this is a spiral track that the water is going to start flowing down. So the bigger this is, the better. So when that water goes down this track, the concept is to have gears that are absorbing the water, kind of like a water wheel. So when water is flowing through it, it's churning, and that's how it's generating power. So potentially, if this water wheel is big enough, and we have thousands or potentially millions of pounds of water that are turning, and we're saying that there's going to be a generator that the water can turn, let's say here and here, or let's say it alternates, like every 5 feet, a generator, a generator, a generator, generator, generator. See how it kind of goes back and forth, so nothing really kind of gets in the way. So as the water keeps flowing down these tracks and spinning these generators, it's going to fuel the battery packs. So potentially the more generators we can get in there that are potentially going to be able to spin. I think if we have a slope of water that's big enough, it should be able to easily spin as many as we can put in there. So maybe we can put thousands of these in there, and then potentially all that's happening is the water goes down, and it's converting all that gravity into energy. And now, when it goes down to the bottom, all it has to do is get pumped right back up to the top, going straight through the center, right? So in a straight line. So it's so much, it costs next to nothing to bring the source of how to generate the power back to do it all over again, right? So again, with this concept, we can also create solar panels around the edge and circle the device to help pump the water to the top of the device. So potentially all we're looking to overcome is bringing the water to the top for as cheap as possible, in a way where at least we're creating more than it cost. As long as it creates more than it cost, potentially it's going to be enough, hopefully. Hopefully it's not just such a small amount that it's not going to do anything. So we're expecting that it's going to create more than enough to be effective. So between both the gravity and the solar generating this and being able to harvest, and so potentially maybe Tesla would be good with mastering this technology and developing this technology for me. And if they would be willing to, I would be willing to take 10%, 5% on just as a tip. I don't really care. I just want to help the world out. That's my idea. I hope everybody likes it. It's called the Gravity Generator, and it's about converting gravity into energy. And the whole principle and concept is that there's nearly infinite amounts of solar power, and there's nearly infinite amounts of gravity. So all we need to do is figure out how to convert gravity, and then now we have two pools to pull out of. Infinite amounts of solar, infinite amounts of gravity. Okay, well, let's start converting gravity. We've already been converting gravity to energy. Why not do it more effectively? Why not take it to the next level?